Hello folks, my name's Hypocrisite and welcome to Equestria at war as Griffonian Empire. There are two things that I wanted to address. The first one is actually those two things were brought up by my viewers. One of them is that I don't pay attention to my decisions. Mainly political and other stuff. The main reason is that I don't find them particularly useful, at least not the political actions. And my main focus when it comes to decisions are just prospect for resources, or sometimes propaganda efforts when my war support goes below 100. The second thing is that I should not beat myself over mispronouncing, but it's difficult. It's difficult for me not to be harsh to myself, because as I'm not a native speaker, I know the struggle of trying to understand what another non-native speaker wants to say in his second or third language, because that's not their native language. And I know that native speakers of English in that case will understand me, but those for whom English is a second or a third language or whatever, those people might not understand me so well as you natives. So with that being addressed, let's go to the game. So in the last two episodes we've managed to reconquer the Reichspakt lands, and right now I don't have actually any plan what to do. Right now we are going with the army branch, but at some point we should go with this part of the tree, because in the end we will conquer all of Griffonia, I mean the continent. So at some point we should address this problem. But to make this interesting, I will try to rush the focus tree to the point when we will have war goals on other countries. So let's get started. Okay, so there is a lot of stuff going on. Kingdom of Aquileia actually started a war against Pomovarra and House Avian and Flauena, and I don't know what will happen next. I mean, will this spill to the rest of the continent or something? We will see. Another day, another raid. So let's just address this. So the defense was successful. I think that I should keep my troops here, just in case, and conquer them as soon as I can. So this will be our first place to strike. Brandvik? Oh, Whitetail. Yeah, Whitetail. I think that we will have some problems with Aquileia. Not only because they have actually managed to snag a bit of land, and I think that they will go also for Irie, but their focus the final showdown gets them their next war goal. And right now, I think that we are on the same foot when it comes to ground forces. But still, I'm not so sure if I'll be able to crush them. So somehow Rumari declared war on Griffonstone, and that's a bit stupid thing to do, I think. Or maybe I'm underestimating their power. But I think that Rumari will go down soon. Okay, so we've actually go with excavation, because there's no such thing as too many resources. And we have an available decision to develop Dwarftail iron ore deposits. Well, it's not iron, or maybe it is. Well, iron, but it's steel, so yeah, whatever. I shouldn't be overthinking it. We'll get 16 units of steel, so that's pretty nice. And the war has started. The Changeling Kingdom has officially announced that a state of war exists between Equestria and them from now on. Several bombing raids were performed by Changeling aviation onto the frontal units and towns in the area before the official declaration of war. This is a turning point in history for us all. Equestria has not seen a major war in many centuries, and the public is stunned by the events. Changelings seem very determined and confident in their actions, which can't be said about Equestria. It will take a while for the Pony Nation to put their economy on war rails. Rails? Yeah, rails. We will observe the situation. Can't be good. But you have an attaché in Changeling lands, so duh. Okay, so we've went through the almost all of the focuses regarding regaining the control over our lands. Now we only have to create cores on the conquered stuff. That will take us 100 days, and then we'll go with war with Skyfall, so something interesting will happen. Okay, so Aquileia actually has a death wish, because they went for the war with Franmistria, and they are in Carinthian pact with Wingbardy and Talus. And they have actually a bit of manpower on their hands, and actually a large amount of ground forces. So I think that it'll be an even fight. Okay, so we have a follow-up event, the war for Taran. Several days ago, the Kingdom of Aquileia sent an ultimatum demanding the region of Taran to be ceded to them. Franxistria? Isn't it called a bit different? Franmistria? Yeah, whatever. Had seized it from Aquileia during the tumultuous times of the First Revolution, when the local countries had been executed and the local countess had been executed and the Republicans had tenuous control over the area. The ultimatum has officially been rejected, and Aquileia has used this to justify open war. Gallo Ventrilio of Wingbardy has shown great concern over this and had vowed to intervene if necessary. A petty land dispute has escalated quickly. The Vidinian Civil War. Wedding bells sounded throughout Trunham today as Princess Skildsvart of the Kingdom of Vidinia has married. However, the day was not without its challenges. Dark magic users in the kingdom have influenced the princess and have taken the opportunity to seize the country. The old Vedenian nobility has now fled into the countryside as corrupt forces of dark magic users hound their troops and demand their total surrender to the new order. Skoldevard now rules in Vedenia and looks outwards to foreign affairs, hungry for power. That's pretty interesting. Maybe I should give Vedena a try off screen. Oh! So, Wingbardi has actually managed to land on Aquila. The fall of Aquila. As Wingbardian forces approached the cultural capital of Griffonia, the mayor of Aquila, ignoring the orders and demands of the Aquilian government, declared it to be an open city. It is clear he wished to protect historical landmarks and to avoid repeating the devastation suffered by the city in 735 when Emperor Grover II had burned it down to punish the Aquilians for rebelling against his rule. Nevertheless, there were reports of limited artillery bombardment before the attackers entered the open city, but thankfully the famous boulevards and museums remain unscathed. The City of Light has been extinguished. Mischief of Youth. Gabriela was delighted to have a private dinner with her dear nephew. Responsibilities and stress have only piled up, and she was aching for these little moments of respite. Had she known that ruling a vast state, much larger than her fiefdom, entailed this much paperwork, perhaps she'd consider giving Eros a chance. Of course, none of that would happen, and the peer's rights will be secured. Taking a careful bite of the Mancawian watermelon slice, she turned her attention to the young emperor, who seemed a little distraught. My child, how are your studies? Are you progressing well? Yes, auntie, everything is fine, Grover responded rather unconvincingly, fiddling with his dessert. Gabriela might not have children of her own, but she could tell when someone was being evasive. Still, he was young and could be excused, but such habits must be excised before they would become troublesome. Your Grace, you remember our talk we had about falsehoods? Yes, auntie, I remember, it's just that I don't want to disappoint you. He spoke in a low, embarrassed tone. Mr. Longbeak has caught me sleeping at his class. I can explain. Gabriela did not expect such a thing. At worst, she'd consider that her nephew was pulling pranks, but this seemed rather innocuous. Nephew dearest, are you having trouble sleeping? I hope you're not having nightmares again. No, auntie. Last week, when I was at the palace library, I borrowed a copy of Bygone Griffins of Greatness. It was so interesting, I could read it all night. He cowered a little when he saw his aunt's disapproving gaze. Not that I did that or anything, but the lives of the past emperors are so fascinating. I wondered how could I be as great as like my ancestors. And to be honest, Mr. Longbeak's class is rather boring. Grover finished quietly while swallowing the last piece of his Aquilian chocolate eclair. Gabriela pondered for a while on this knowledge. While sleeping during class was certainly a bad habit, the fact that the young emperor showed such interest in history suggested a certain cleverness that his friends didn't share. Thus, she made her decision. Grover, you will not be disciplined. However, you will make up for what you missed on your new class. He stared in confusion. I think that you are ready to begin studying history. Mr. Longbeak's services will not be required anymore for the time being, but I don't want to hear again that you're being tardy, alright? Yes, auntie, I won't let you down. There's no wrong in admitting. Well, actually, I'm pretty impressed that such a young Griff is already interested in history. Okay, so we've done those focuses, and now we are going for war on Skyfall. Maybe I'll be able to help the Hawkland, because they are in a pretty dire position. Okay, so now let's see how our tank divisions are doing. Yeah, whatever. Well, I actually had no idea how they would perform, but I see that I may be able to go to Skyfall, like, actually unimpeded. And done encirclement. Good stuff. I think that we'll be able to end this war before New Year's Eve. The sack of Skyfall. When the Skyfall government realized they could not bribe the enemy soldiers and thus save their capital, they used the money to hire mercenaries instead to bolster the city's defense. Initial assaults by the Griffonian army failed because the metropolis had been turned into a labyrinth of death, so they sent a message to the mercenaries, giving them an offer they could not refuse. If they switched sides, they would be allowed to loot Skyfall's entire treasury. The turncoats quickly turned their tide in favor of the attacker, who used the element of surprise to their advantage and shattered the defenders. Widespread pillaging followed as the mercenaries not only looted the treasury, but sacked the rest of the city as well. Perhaps we can do a little looting as well. Well, that's not nice, I think. But yeah, such are the rules of warfare. And we've managed to conquer all of this even before New Year's Eve. Oh yeah, well, Hochland actually was also in a war. So I think that I'm not able to do this. I hope that I'll be able to at least have a bit of land. Oh, did they transfer all of their score to me? Yeah, they did that. Okay, so let's have the rest. Perfect. Okay, so actually this event relates to us. The Empire strikes back. After a series of reforms, miraculous victories and countless rebellions, the long-suffering Griffonian Empire has managed to reclaim the Griffonian heartlands under the guidance of the nobility. While many of the still independent Griffon kingdoms were hoping that Duchess Gabriella and their noble allies would be satisfied with the realm, they have carved out would be satisfied with the realm they've carved out for themselves. It seems that this will not be the case, as today the Duchess, with her young protege Emperor Grover VI, in Tau made a speech announcing that the Griffonian Empire shall not stop until all Griffons are beneath its banner once more. It seems that there is still hope for the Empire. Okay, I think that it's a good moment to end the episode. I hope that you liked it. So leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.